In the lands where shadows whisper low, a hollow whisper begins to grow. A mournful tune on wind does ride, through moonlight night, a soul does hide. When shadows stir and silence speak, a tale begins, the fire seeks. In the stillness of the Venezuelan plains, when the wind dies and the trees seem to listen, a whistle echoes throughout the night, soft at first, then louder. But be aware that the closer it sounds, the further he is, and when the whistle fades into silence, he is already behind you. This is the legend of Silbon, a story passed down through whispers, born from fear, grief, and warnings, buried deep in folklore. But where does the myth end, and where does truth begin? Let's shine light onto this legend together and lift that thin veil from what if to what is. Although there are many versions of how Silbon came to be, the most commonly cited origin story involves a young spoiled teenager taking out his anger on his father. Now, these legends involve violence, murder, and dismemberment, so listeners' discretion is highly advised. So once upon a time, around the 18th century, there lived a small family in Los Llanos. The father, mother, and their teenage son, as well as the boy's grandfather, who believed in strict family values. Being an only child, the boy was spoiled by his parents, who gave him everything he wanted. One summer day, the boy demanded venison for dinner, so his father grabbed his rifle and went hunting. The night fell, but his father did not return. The boy became infuriated and questioned his mother, who advised his son to go and find his father. The now enraged teenager left the house with a sack on his back, whistling as he walked. Not long after, he found his father walking home empty-handed. The father apologized, but the son overcame with anger, attacked his father, pushed him to the ground, and stabbed the man with a hunting knife. Now the boy then dismembered the body and cut off the meat of the parts. Satisfied, he filled his bag with his father's pieces and bones and went home, like a job well done. At home, the boy gave the meat to his mother to cook it, saying that his father would home be soon. At home, the boy gave the meat to his mother to cook it, saying that his father would be home soon. As the meat was cooking, the mother became suspicious and questioned her son. He confessed to what he had done, and his mother immediately ran to the boy's grandfather with the news. Without a word, the old man grabbed the boy, dragged him out of the house, and tied him to a tree outside. The grandfather took a whip and beat the boy with it until the skin began to peel off his back. He then untied the rope from the boy and held him down while he poured alcohol and pepper, in other words, chili, on the wounds. Because of this, the boy screamed in pain. The man cursed the boy, saying that he would walk the plains until the end of time, carrying his sins on his back. As the boy lay dying on the ground, the man left behind one punishment. He released 2 rabid dogs, who immediately attacked the boy. The dogs tore the boy to pieces, thus creating Silbon. Since the boy died, many who walk in this area have reported hearing a whistle at night. According to legend, the boy's cursed spirit roams the plains looking for a victim whose bones it put in his sack. The melody corresponds to specific notes given by the whistling entity. In theory, this melody is especially catchy for drunk and angry men. This whistle would be bad enough on its own, but Silbon likes to play tricks on his victims, changing how far away his voice can be heard. So if the whistle is near, Silbon is far away, and if it can be heard from afar, he might be even standing right next to his victim. Some say that as soon as people hear the whistle, the person who hears it is already dead. Although a few claim to have escaped Silbon's clutches, even fewer can tell what they experienced. No matter where you see him, Silbon is nearly 20-foot tall figure who walks along the trees, usually wearing a straw hat, and is often said to have skin missing in places. His flesh hangs from his body in pieces, and he carries a large sack with bones that clicks as he walks. According to most legends, Silbon hunts for womanizers, criminals, and drunken men. A few also say that he is particularly cruel to those who are drunk. If Silbon catches someone who is drunk, he cuts a hole in their stomach and sucks out all the alcohol through it. Then through the cut hole, Silbon reaches into the body and rips out the bones of his victims. If this happens, the victim's soul will be cursed and unable to pass on to the afterlife. It will be cursed for eternity, as they say, forcing it to roam the plains in search of Silbon in the hope of recovering their bones. The inhabitants of Los Llanos say that Silbon most often seen in the summer when the Venezuelan savanna is at its hottest and driest. The whistling entity sits among the trees, collecting dust in its hands, but most often during rainy or humid weather it is seen roaming around, hungry for death, eager to punish drunkards, womanizers, and sometimes those who we would consider innocents as well. Theoretically, this entity avoids people who have dogs because it is scared from barking dogs, the crack of a whip, and chili peppers, as they remind it of all the pain it has suffered in its life. Another legend says that Silbon sometimes enters people's houses or sits in front of them, empties his sack, and starts counting bones while whistling. If several people in the house heard the whistle, then everyone is safe. But if only one person, then the one who heard it will be dead by the next morning. As the legends vary, some stories say that Silbon is actually harmless during the dry season. According to legend, if someone sees this entity at that time, while he sits in a tree, the drought will continue for several weeks, but when it rains, Silbon goes hunting. There are actually many versions of the legend of Silbon. Some change only small things, such as that instead of rabid dogs, the boy was attacked by demonic dogs that his grandfather has cursed. In another version, the boy's grandmother was the one who became suspicious, not the boy's mother. Another version is about a young man, not a boy, who was about to get married. One summer night, the man took his fiancée, in another version his wife, to meet his parents, and while the young man was away, his father violated his fiancée. In other versions, he beat the young woman. In another version, he killed her. After the young man found out what his father had done, he killed the older man without hesitation. The legend then ends as in the other version, with the grandfather using the whip and so on. However, in another version, the boy had a brother, Juan. It is actually unclear why he is the only one given a name. Anyway, in this version, Juan is the one who curses his brother to roam the plains, and he is also the one who unleashes the dog to chase his brother until the end of time. In this version, the boy is not killed, but cursed to walk the earth. If he stops, the dogs will bite his feet, forcing the boy to keep walking. The last version of Silbon's origin story is actually completely different. According to this, Silbon was a young man who succumbed to loneliness and now walks the earth looking for companion. His constant whistling attracts others to where he can be found. It is also important to mention that some people say that Silbon's story can be tracked back 300 plus years, but there is actually no evidence for this, since the story itself only arose in the 19th century. Of course, the myth of Silbon is just that, a myth. An urban legend passed down by words of mouth, shaped and reshaped with each retelling. While some claims the story stretches back to over 300 years, there is no historical evidence to support this. In truth, the tale only began circulating widely in the 19th century. What makes this clear is the lack of concrete details. No names, no specific dates, no verifiable places. Even the central figures, such as the boy, his father, and his grandfather, remains anonymous. And that's often the nature of urban legends. They are not rooted in fact, but in fear. They echo real emotions, real tragedies, and sometimes real crimes dressed in the cloak of the supernatural to help communities make sense of senseless events. Stories like these often serve a purpose. They are warnings, cloaked in mystery. Don't wander around at night. Don't trust strangers who act oddly. Don't drink too much. Don't be a womanizer. Behave, and if you don't think that your deed will go unnoticed. As something beyond human understanding, Silbon, for example, will find you and make you feel the consequences of your actions. Because if you do hear that haunting whistle drifting in the air, just hope that it is from close by, so you can have a chance of running away. If you enjoy this tale, there's more to unfold, flickering stories in the fire's warm hold. But if this is all the time you have tonight, thank you for joining, for sharing the light. I'll whisper my thanks as the embers burn bright, and wait for you here in the soft firelight. My name is Creeps. Thank you for listening.